Welcome to the France 24 Observers. This show is based on our network of observers. You know the drill now. They're ordinary people around the world who tell us what's going on where they are and send in photos and videos to document it. We check it all here in Paris and bring the best to you. We begin today in Peru, in the high Andes, in Cerro de Pasco, one of the highest cities in the world. It's also home to an enormous open-pit mine, which keeps getting bigger and bigger. Our first observer sent some amazing pictures. He works with local communities in the city, and his name is Sander Otten.
Cerro de Pasco is a city in the center of the Andes. It's not a very common city because there's a mine located directly in the center of the city, which means a big open pit mine, a huge hole, maybe something like 2 kilometers in width and about 900 meters in depth. So the people, the entire city is living around this huge hole. Throughout the last 50 years, bit by bit, the entire city center has been excavated. At the moment, what we are seeing is that the mining company wants to increase once again the area for mining, which means that Chambamaca, which is a historical city center of Cerro de Pasco, with the oldest church, with the oldest square, will be completely devoured by the mine. What you see now is that the people living in this place report enormous levels of contamination, mostly lead contamination, which leads to a big problem, especially for the youth, which will not grow as well as healthy people do. Water has also been contaminated by all these metals, which are just everywhere in Cerro de Pasco. The government proposed to relocate the city. The problem here is that neither the government nor the mining company have agreed on who shall pay for the relocation of the city. But the mining company is not willing to pay that money, and the government obviously doesn't want to create a problem with the mining company, because the mining company is an ally of the government and creates jobs and brings in tax revenues. So nothing has happened, pretty much.
Our next observer takes us to one of the most notorious slums in Africa, home to some 500,000 people. She's in Mathare, in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Her name is Paula Kahumbu.
Mathare Valley is one of the largest slum areas in Kenya. It has a community of people who live in very, very basic and disgusting conditions, but it's right in the center of the city of Nairobi. So we met a man who is a tinkerer. He makes toys for children, and he invents, small things which he thinks will be useful for his community. He had some very well-made things like airplanes, helicopters, motorbikes, trucks. He produces products which are, the main market is the local community of quite poor people, but he also does some particular items which he targets to the corporate environment. He sells miniature to Safaricom, which is one of the largest corporates in Kenya. It gives you a very strong sense of hope that some of these slums are not just slums made up of poor people who are hopeless. So it's a really interesting place to go and meet people who are just fascinating.
We end today in Lebanon. Even though their national team did not make it into this year's World Cup, Lebanese football fans are trying to figure out which other country they're going to support. We head to Beirut, the capital, with our observer Maha Awada.
It all started a month ago. You see a lot of flags for Germany and Brazil because they're the favourites, but you also see France, Spain and England. Sometimes you see two different flags on the same balcony. You might see Italy and Germany, for instance. Lebanese society is very divided in general, and it's the same thing for football. But at least with the World Cup, if people are arguing, it's because they're all fans and they're doing it in good humour. Personally, I don't support any team in particular, so this morning I went to the market and bought a Lebanon flag. No one else wants them at the moment, so I got it for a good price.
That's it for this week. As always, you can go to our website to find more reports from our observers. Find out how you can sign up to become an observer. See you next time.